Some of you may have seen this video of this lady who said she was told by Jesus to go dance in the Vatican. She's an influencer. She has a lot of followers on TikTok. So she decided to set up her tripod in the Vatican, and she starts doing this whole elaborate dance choreography apparently. And so the Vatican police escorted her out of the Vatican, and she didn't understand how this could have happened. And of course, a lot of people stitched the video, had a response to it, stuff like that. And this is an example of what Ryan and I often talk about when we refer to spiritual psychosis. And how does spiritual psychosis happen? It is when you basically have a spiritual awakening and you do not find elders. And in this case, that means you do not find ancestral roots or an ancestral path. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go look in your own DNA. It can mean that, but it means a mystery school path that aligns with your values and what you are awakening to. So a lot of people in the New Age, in the spiritual community, they channel Jesus, they get messages from all these ascended masters, and it's awesome that we are having this ability, that we are embracing this as a collective more and more. But the danger in this is that if you do this without grounding this into a slow-paced devotional journey, then you have the risk of basically overindulging in the light. And I quote this man frequently, Dr. Robert Gilbert, who sadly passed away last year. He was a modern Rosicrucian man, and he called it Luciferian inflation, because Lucifer literally means the light, and it means inhaling too much of the light without grounding it into the earth, into the practices that have been around for centuries sometimes. So it is definitely recommended when you do these things to still stay anchored into the earth. And for instance, when you study Gnosticism, if you choose a path of mystical Christianity, there is a lot of ancestral wisdom there that connects you into the earth with these teachings, with the Christ teachings. If you, for instance, practice Kabbalah or other forms of Jewish mysticism, you have a lot of practices there that connect you to the earth. Any practice that you align with, maybe it is Kung Fu, maybe it is Eastern philosophy, they're always going to have anchor points into the earth. And I think that is just very important. It's just a little reminder, basically, that you find something that is always anchoring you into the earth. Because, like, I love Jesus. I talk to Jesus. Maybe you also talk to Jesus, and it's great. It's great that we are awakening to the ability that we can have this direct connection. We do not need a middleman. But if Jesus tells you to go dance in the Vatican, it's probably not going to end well. You're probably going to get arrested. So I think if you are properly anchored in and grounded, when you get an idea like this, you're going to realize, oh, this may not be Jesus. This may be an imposter spirit. So yeah, if you would like to learn more about Christian mysticism, the gigantic raven just flew by, which is very interesting because they're very connected to Avalon. And of course, the Christ teachings later moved to Britain after the crucifixion. So there's a lot of Celtic Christianity. That's also a very beautiful path to explore. Anyway, I was going to say something else. Now I forgot. Okay, so yesterday, Ryan and I did the first module of our Sacred Sound course. And when it was time for the participants to kind of express how they were feeling, what was coming up for them, also their motivation. Why are they in this group? What inspired them to join? One person said, because I trust you, because I know you do your research. And that really was a beautiful compliment. Because, what is that? Another little animal. And it is because I'm so devoted to studying. If I get information from the Akashic Records, I see things that don't necessarily line up with history or with the stories that I've been told. I go and investigate. I try to read as much as I can. And that's why I am so passionate about languages like Aramaic and Hebrew. Because by going to the source and studying these things, and I'm definitely not a super professional at it at all. If anything, I'm in the early stages. And this is like a work that is going to take decades of studying. But this is literally my life's work. I am passionate about translating the stuff that I receive from the ethers with the stuff that is available. And looking at where there are discrepancies, I guess is the word, where things aren't lining up. And then bringing that back in my teachings, lining it up with the stuff that I'm getting from these celestial records. And that is what our ancestors would do. That's what they would do. They would write stuff down. They would connect to the earth. They would connect to their ancestors, to the word. And the word now is written down, but in these tribal settings, and also early Christian mythology, yeah, kind of, talks about the word being alive. It is not written down, but now, of course, it is. So we kind of have to work with what we have. But this is getting long. So anyway, you can still join the Sacred Sound course. The recorded version of that, you can still join. And if you want to just dive deeper with me one-on-one, I have a mentorship program available. I have counseling available. I have Akashic Records readings where I can specifically look at your soul connections to these specific mystery schools that you may feel drawn to. So just check out my website. Everything is in the link in the bio. And if you have any questions, then let me know.